Hey guys, and welcome back to High Functioning Slightly Faded. My name is Julie, and honestly, a lot has happened in the last 2 weeks or so since really the last time I filmed. Well, I filmed an episode the other day that you guys are going to see before this one, but you guys know the last week or two have just been very eventful. So let's just get into it. Let's stop avoiding the elephant in the room. I'm going to address this head on. I assume a lot of you have heard the recent news about Charlie. And no, I'm not talking about Puth before you can even ask, or our girl Charlie XCX. As many of you obviously know, Charlie Kirk was murdered during the week last week in Utah while he was speaking at a university there. And I don't think people should be killed in that way. It's disgusting, disturbing, inhumane, etc., etc. I obviously didn't watch the video. I don't have any interest in doing that. But you live by the gun, you die by the gun. That's what they say. He was genuinely a steaming pile of dog shit when he was alive, so I really have no reason to mourn him mourn him at all, let alone mourn him in a positive way or remember him that way, because that's not how he lived. That's not what I'm here for. I don't fucking know him. He's a piece of shit. But I literally learned who he was during 2020 when him and his friends, they were doxing George Floyd's sister or what the extent of it was, but I know they were fucking harassing her and being his whole family, but especially his daughter, not his sister. Sorry, it was just so disgusting and disrespectful the way that they were handling that, and now these people are asking us to feel upset about what happened to him, and it's karma's a bitch, bro. I don't know what to tell you. What the fuck was wrong with him? I don't think he deserved to die like that, but I'm not gonna be upset, and I definitely don't think we should be flying our flags at half staff or whatever, and I definitely don't think that they should use taxpayer money to move his body or anything like that, because he wasn't even at a political event. He wasn't a politician. He wasn't a vet. He wasn't in the military. He was literally a Nazi, and it's so crazy. I mean, I don't know. I said to my dad, I don't know what people expect, if they expected me to be upset about this and why people are surprised that, I find some of these memes a little funny that are coming up after the fact. But it's first of all, when did we as a society stop being upset when people who, genuinely spewed and promoted these evil, hateful ideas was, it was upsetting? It's not a loss to society. It's oh my God, thank God. Thank God. Well, not even, it's just thank God they stopped fucking spewing their shit. I wish it wasn't this way, but it is, unfortunate but true. I was saying to my dad, you raised me on World War II in color and every possible History Channel thing about, in other more probably reputable sources, movies, shows, every documentary about World War II known to man and other wars. And, why is anyone surprised that I'm not particularly upset to see a Nazi get killed for once over innocent school children, single mothers, all these people? They literally put a citizen into Guantanamo Bay, and then they were oh, we can't get him back. And it's what about all those people that died on the planes and the helicopters earlier this year, those ice skaters and stuff? Do you guys think that we should have moved on from that so quickly? Because I actually told a lot of people I work with and a lot of the patients that had happened. A lot of them didn't know. And I'm how do you not know? And I'm sure all of them knew about this, whether or not they knew who Charlie Kirk was. But people can't be surprised that people in our generation are desensitized to death. It's not just because I work as a nurse. George Floyd's death was literally played on TV practically 24/7. It was on everywhere. It was on the fucking View. In spring of 2020. And it was horrific. It was horrible. I didn't want to see that. I'm happy they were talking about it because it was a horrible, controversial, thing that never should have happened. But it's just, I didn't want to see the video over and over again. How horrific. But I also went to a great school system growing up, so I watched a very traumatic documentary about Emmett Till that included actual photos, and I was probably 14, and that really traumatized me, obviously. If you guys don't know who Emmett Till is, please look it up, and please educate yourself. That is a horrific case of lynching. School shootings are literally more than just a regular thing. I was actually saying to Joe the other day, I think the school shooting for me that really desensitized me to it, because obviously Newtown was the first big one for me. I didn't know about Columbine, but I was younger because it was before I was even born. Newtown, I remember that. I was in 7th grade, and I remember hearing about that, and that was horrific, and it was horrible. And it was just so sad, obviously, in many ways, but and I'm from New England, so I don't know if it hit harder up here, but I feel it hit the whole country really hard. I'm pretty sure Obama came out and spoke about it. It was so sad, all those little kids and the teachers and everything else. And then it's fucking Alex Jones comes out and he's these people were paid actors. I'm pretty sure he got in a ton of trouble for that last year or the year before or something, you know? But I honestly think the one that, like, normalized it for me, just because it's, like, you feel almost, like, hopeless. It's not normal, but it's just like, oh my god, not this shit again. I would hate to say it, was probably Parkland my senior year of high school. Part of that I do think was because when I went to college, I stopped having the access to watch the news as regularly as I was when I was living at home. But, and like, obviously you talk about things in school that are political events and recent things that happen, obviously in your history classes and stuff. But I think that might have been part of it. But also I remember that I had been out of school sick, but I was going to write a paper about, you know, gun control and gun safety and stuff related to the Parkland shooting because it had just happened. But I literally was just like, I feel like I can't even do, I mean, part of it was probably because I was sick too, but I was just like, I can't even bring myself to do this because this is like, is anyone even going to listen? Like, does anyone even give a fuck? Like, I wrote for the paper, so it was, like, kind of, like, the local, like, paper. It wasn't anything crazy. And, I don't know. Like, part of me is, like, maybe I should have done it. But I actually did all the research. It just was, like, such a bummer to me. I'm like, I can't write this. Like, I just can't bring myself to do this right now. It was so heartbreaking. And it just keeps happening. You know, they could literally make a Black Mirror episode that's, like, I don't fucking know. There's a new video game and people play a VR game or something, and then it's like a school shooting game, and it's like people are obviously, some people are horrified and other people are like, oh, it's no big deal. And then it turns out that these things actually happen in real life. You know what I mean? That could be a crazy Black Mirror episode or something like that. Because that's how I feel things are turning into, because it's so normalized in our world. It's disgusting. Because I think people in the U.S. wouldn't even necessarily blink too much about that because of how normalized it's been in the, like, last 20 years or so. It's horrible. Like, we need to do something about that. Because, like, also, if people want to crash out and go shoot a bunch of people, why are they shooting little kids? Obviously, it's because they're defensive and these people are fucking cowards. But it's like, genuinely, like, these people didn't do anything to you. So there's no motive for you to, it's just disgusting. But for fuck's sake, there was a Glee episode that was a school shooting. There was literally a Glee episode that was a school shooting. It was kind of scary when I watched it. Also, when I was in high school, 13 Reasons Why had first dropped. And obviously, they had to go back into that show after a couple of seasons and edit things. But for those of us that we survived watching the original cut of 13 Reasons Why, like, I think we all maybe are in are in some kind of, like, psychiatric therapy, some kind of help, mental health help, that kind of thing. I mean, Hannah kills herself. That is burned in my mind still when she slits her wrist in the bathtub and the mom comes in and finds her. It's horrible. There's multiple rape scenes. I think I definitely watched the first 2 seasons. I might have watched the first 3, but I didn't finish it because the show was too disturbing for me. But the broom scene was fucking horrible. And then there was another school shooting attempt by the kid that got the broom in his butt. And it was horrible. Like, I don't want to see this. I didn't even know it was a thing that people did. Oh, it was horrible. But who can forget? Oh, and this is like, the real zillennials out there, stand up. Because who can forget the regular ISIS beheading videos that were all over the news from the time that, like, I was pretty young, like a tween, and, like, when we were in high school too. It's like, what was that about? Like, do people forget about these things? It's horrible. And, like, there's, I think it might still be happening, but in the last couple years, there's been a lot of increase in, like, violence against Asian people on the subways in New York and stuff. And it's like, what the fuck is happening? This is a very fucked up, disturbing world. And also, I took a class about the Vietnam War and saw all those kinds of photos from the, that whole situation was disgusting. I could make a whole entire podcast series about that. But I'm not getting into my American War and Vietnam opinions right now. I'm literally turning into Jane Fonda, apparently. I can't hate it, though. But, like, getting back on topic, you can't promote and support a world of violence and then be surprised when people stop batting an eye when these bad things start happening to you. Because you're not batting an eye for them. What about this? Rest in peace, Melissa Hortman and her husband, who were murdered a couple months ago, that people just totally got over that pretty quickly. When I first heard about it, I thought it wasn't real at first because people were kind of being nonchalant and no one was talking about it. And I find it interesting that people that literally didn't speak up about that and never speak up about anything had a lot of fucking things to say to me about posting some stupid ass Charlie Kirk meme on my story. And it's like, you know what? It is a tragedy what happened. No one should be killed like that in a public area or in general. But it's also like, it does happen all the fucking time in this country. And so it's like, at least it wasn't like a little kid for once. It's horrible, but, like, we can't just pretend this guy wasn't a Nazi and not be honest about the way we felt. We don't have to be like, oh, I'm happy he's dead. Like, that's not, like, the situation I'm feeling like. You know what? I'm happy about Tucker Carlson switching to the right team. Like, that already, I have whiplash about that. I can't even get into that right now. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm happy that he stopped promoting his fucking hate speech, even though people are using this as fuel. But it is just, like, I'm not happy about what happened to him. It's disgusting, but it's, like, you can't be like, oh, unfortunately, people dying is just, like, the price we have to pay to have our gun rights. And then have people be extremely upset when your death is the ultimate irony and you get shot. I don't know. I can't talk about this anymore. But as you guys know, I've been binge watching House MD for the first time and cheating on it with Criminal Minds because House MD is now me and Joe's show versus where I was watching it by myself before. But it's good. You know, it's a great show. I like these shows that, like, I can watch one, it's like a complete story, but then there are things that continue on just because you need something to just, like, unwind, you know? But I've been watching Criminal Minds by myself, especially because sometimes Joe watches that with me, but it can be scary sometimes. But the reason I've been bringing this up yet again for probably, like, the third time on this podcast is because I was watching an episode of Criminal Minds the other day, and it reminded me of something that some of my friends used to do when we were in school. And, like, let me explain, I guess, before, I guess, you even start to think, what do you mean some of your friends were doing something in Criminal Minds that reminds you of what they used to do? Like, were they like murdering people? I'm like, no, it wasn't like that. So it reminded me of something that they did. It wasn't what they did, okay? But this episode, I think, aired in, like, 2010. It's either in season 5 or season 6. But there was this trend, I guess, where kids would, like, strangle themselves or strangle each other until they lost consciousness to get, like, the high from the blood rushing back to your brain after or whatever without any drugs. And the plot of the episode includes this because 2 kids in the same area had died by suicide, but it was, like, by the asphyxiation, like, hanging themselves in a closet with, like, a belt or something, which is horrible. But they were, like, that was, like, a friend of, like, JJ's or something reached out and was like, this is really weird, like, that these kids committed suicide the same way back to back, like, they don't even know each other, like, can you please look into this? So obviously it was one of those things where people encouraging other people to kill themselves, which is awful. And, like, it's some kind of freak show guy, but the people are doing it in the closet, which obviously is more dangerous than you were doing it, like, with your friend or just doing it with your hand, which I don't know. I guess, like, there was a website that someone made. I don't know if it's the guy that was, like, encouraging them to do this or the website was there and he just took advantage of this. But he was, like, posting stuff pretending to be a kid and being, like, on his son's account and being, like, we all have to do this on this day, this Friday, because it's going to be us versus this school. And, like, whoever has the most amount of minutes out or whatever, most amount of people that do it, like, they win. And it's, like, what do you mean? This whole thing was crazy to me, but, and so they have the local rival schools do it, and, like, so like most episodes of Criminal Minds, this was fucking crazy. I mean, it kind of reminded me of what my friends were, and obviously some people were dying, and he got the thrill of that. I think the guy was an EMT, so he likes, like, reviving them or some shit, but the reason it reminded me of my friends in high school is because some of them used to play this game called the passout game, or we used to call it the passout game, and I never played because of, like, the concussions, the asthma, I just, like, didn't really feel like I wanted to do that, you know? But they showed me how to play the game. We were probably like 15 or 16 and we weren't smoking weed yet. So it's like, obviously we stopped doing this after that, but it was just like a funny thing. And if you live in a rural area, like the kids did on this episode of Criminal Minds, like, I guess it's just something we do out there. But the way that we played the passout game was a lot different than how it was shown in this episode, which is fucking crazy. But you wouldn't, like, strangle yourself or your friend. And again, this was a long time ago and I've never played it myself, so I might be misremembering this, but it's something along these lines of how you play it. So you start standing up and you take, like, really deep breaths in and out, like, I assume you do, like, I think it's in and out of your mouth, so it's, I don't know why, I think just so you can get more air in and out, but you do it, like, 10 times maybe. Then you sit down and you do it again, like, 10 more times. And then you stand up and take a deep breath and hold it. And when you stand up really fast and you're holding your breath, you pass out as a result. It is crazy because it does make you pass out. I've seen it happen. But I'm recalling this from memory, so it might not be 100% accurate, but you kind of get the gist of it. So the way they're playing this in Criminal Minds, to hear that they're playing a similar game to this and then find out that the way they're playing is using belts and, like, strangling themselves in the closet or strangling each other with their hands, like, it sounds like they were doing that before, and then this website thing pushed them all into doing the belt thing. But the thing is, like, to me, is, like, first of all, who the fuck is playing that game? Second of all, like, people thought we were crazy, and I didn't even play the game, for them having played that game that way. And it is nowhere near as fucking crazy as the way they were playing in this episode, and all the people were just acting like it was normal. So, I don't know, drop a like or drop a fucking let me know if you guys have ever played this game, or if I even explained it right, if it's my friends listening to this, or if you play the way they played on Criminal Minds. But I'm like, it's giving like autoerotic asphyxiation. That's the only other way I've seen that, them do that like that. I don't know. Not that I've done that either, but in movies and stuff like Game Over? Game Over Man. They did that. I think they faked their death like that or something. It's just interesting to me because the way they portray kids like trying to get the same feeling from like that game that my friends would get. It's like so much more dangerous than the way that we would play. And obviously like that was a little bit of the point of the game in the show, but like it is beyond like more dangerous than the way that we were playing. Like I'm almost like, were we just playing the pussy version? I don't know. But obviously they did that a little bit for the sake of the show. It makes total sense. I can't imagine like just being stupid enough to play it in that way. Like especially by myself. If we were going to play that way, I would tell my friends, no, like one person needs to be in the room. I don't care if they're off camera so the person doesn't know. But like what if something happens and you die? I don't want you to die. But where no one can save you or get help or anything. I don't know. And you also just have to hope that hanging yourself by a belt in your closet is not going to cause that much damage and you're just going to get a high from it. It's ridiculous. But moving on from such a dark subject, or two dark subjects kind of in a row, on a more positive note about Criminal Minds, did anyone else's heart stop at the beginning of season 6 when Matthew Gray Gubler got the haircut? Because he looks so handsome. You guys know I know a lot of people love the Prince Harry, like Harry Styles, like when his hair was long, they'd be like, Prince Harry, and like, obviously I know Matthew Gray Gubler, like that's like his thing, and he does look good with it. I'm not crazy big fan of like the long hair on guys. It's just like not really my type. But, well, obviously to a certain point when it's really long, but I live for when they do the chop. I love that. I literally love that. Like when a man has the long hair and he chops it, and the next time you see him, you're like, oh my God, hey girl, what's up? I live for that. But swoon, that's all we have to say here is swoon. So as we're coming up on the last episode of the Summer I Turned Pretty in a couple of days from now, you guys know I still have to share my thoughts about episode 9 and 10, and what I'm hoping to see in 11, and I know there's rumors that they're going to drop a part 2 to the season, like, because they were saying that the main account deleted the episode release dates and, like, all this other stuff, but, like, in case that would be dope. I mean, I'm having a finale party, so I'll be like, okay, guys, let's, do this, and then we're going to regroup, in 11 more weeks. No, I would be so happy because I want my Belly Conrad moments, but in case that doesn't happen, these are my thoughts. So I'm disappointed overall because we literally only see Belly and Conrad together at the end of season 1, in season 2 in flashbacks, and then, like, even when we see them together, but they're obviously, like, not actually together, but, like, we have the peach scene, obviously, when he cuts his legs and stuff, when he's surfing in the 3rd season, but then the rest of it's also just flashbacks. And it's just, like, I wish we had a little more time with them actually together. I love Conrad. Like, please, Jenny Han, I need this mama. You guys know I'm so happy that Steven and Taylor are finally together. And I love having them on my screen. I needed a couple moments of that. So I obviously was happy that Steven was mad at Jeremiah when he found out that he cheated on Belly, and he was like, who the fuck is Lacey Barone? But I do wish he confronted Jer about it too. But it's like, Steven is a cheater, so obviously we all know Jer would pull that shit out and he'd just be like, this is my fucking sister, like, we're family pretty much. Everything else, like, because it is like, yes, you're dating this girl, but you also have to keep in mind that she's pretty much your family too. Like, you're not related, so it makes the dating okay, but you are pretty much family, so it's like, what are you gonna do there? But we only have so much time left in the season, so it's like, I'm okay that confrontation didn't happen because I want some more Belly Conrad moments, okay? I did appreciate the hilarious heart-to-heart between Adam and Conrad too, and when he literally is like, you're in love with who? And he's like, Belly, Dad. And he's like, why? Like, what? It's just like, Adam, where have you been? I will say that, what is he? I forget, I'm blanking on the actor's name, but the guy who plays him is also in the show, the movie, That Thing You Do, and it's about the band The Wonders or whatever. And I've seen that movie so many times. It's actually a great movie, but I saw it so many times because we had this, like, he was nice, but he was kind of like a cringy, like, music teacher in middle school, and, like, he always played that movie. And it actually is a great movie, but I've seen it many a time. But he's in that movie, and I do love him from that. Obviously, he's going to have a soft spot in my heart. Jenny Han is killing me with this Benito shit, and there's only one episode left. Like, I guess it happened in the book, whatever, but then it's like, girl, when I get my fucking hands on you, I want my Belly Conrad moments. I want them now. I need that. But I absolutely love those moments in Paris where, like, from the trailer that we saw, that actually were just Conrad talking about her being like, I think of you, you're so happy over there. And it's like, wow, he really is thinking about her just being so happy. And it's like, I love seeing her from his point of view. She just looks so beautiful, you know? Cute point of view by Ariana Grande, please. You know, it's so cute. I just love them. We are entering uncharted territory, speaking of the trailer, because we've seen all the moments from the trailers that have come out. So I can't wait for the new episode. I'm super excited. For those of you still bitching about Conrad being hung up on Belly or finding him sending the letters creepy, guys, I gotta defend my man. So I have some bullet points here, okay? Let me give you a little bit of a little insight of this situationship, dating, relationship insight, you know, from my own life experience, my friends and stuff. And like, let me try to word this situation a little differently so you understand where my man's coming from. Belly and Conrad grew up with crushes on each other since forever. They were always in love. And when Conrad's like a junior, whatever the fuck he was in high school, I think he was going to freshman year of college. I don't even remember. I know. I realized as I was saying it out loud, it was wrong, but yeah. And then Belly shows up and she looks beautiful, way cuter than she always did. I mean, she was cute, but now it's like she's turning into a little bit of a woman, you know? And it's like, in that case, he's like, he's like, I have always been in love with your feelings, but obviously then there's that period where she's a little too young and it's not really like that anymore. It's like, oh, we were so young. But then it kind of comes back because then this girl's beautiful and like more age appropriate. And, that's like, obviously he was like OMG, but he had just found out that his dad cheated on his mom the first time that she had cancer, and I think he found out she had cancer in this again in the same convo, and this time it was worse and she didn't want to do treatment. So obviously he's having a fuck of a summer, you know what I mean? Like, leave my guy alone. And he's obviously like, fuck my dad for real, he is such a dick. But finally, after this emotionally charged summer, Belly and Conrad end up in a very loved up, emotionally and sexually charged relationship while his mom and basically her mom's sister was dying. But they break up after like 6 to 8 months of dating and like having a lot of fun from what it looked like because of the stress of his mom having cancer, which left both of them without any closure. And they got in a huge fight at the funeral, which obviously didn't make anything better. But barely 2 months later, they spend like a week or two together and she helps him save like the beach house and like they've really bond and she helps him study for his last final so he doesn't fail out and he can transfer to Stanford. And she's like encouraging him to push himself and do great. And like, meanwhile, she's trying to hole around with Jeremiah, this bitch. But they do get in that emotional drunk fight on the beach too that really kind of start like is the pinnacle of things like kind of heating up together with them again, you know? And like, but then she turns around and starts dating his brother and it's like, I also saw her point of view, so it's like I do get what she was seeing too. And it's like, we all can be unreliable historians sometimes, Belly, but like, come on, girl. Like, obviously you're breaking Conrad's heart. This was like not even 2 months later. But it was heartbreaking. And the betrayal of like your brother doing that to you, your only brother, your girlfriend and your first love that you're still very much in love with doing that, your mom having just died and your dad just being like a shitty person. Especially because his mom made him promise on his deathbed, like to not let anything come between them and to always look out for his brother. So it's like, he feels guilted and obligated. Like, obviously he feels like shit about this whole situation, like doesn't know what to do, so he's like gonna do what he always does and turn inward and escape. Like, and he did say to Belly, you know, I do still have feelings for you. I saw your whole ass making out my brother on my car in my sweatshirt, girl, and I'm still gonna call your ass out and be like, hey, just, you know, I do really still like you. But she was like, I can't. But he has to see Conrad then has to see someone he's extremely in love with still, that he only broke up with like 2 months ago, be with his brother all the time. And so he just stays in California. Obviously, I don't blame him. He closes himself off and he dives into his schoolwork. He was too busy for a relationship and he was afraid to get hurt. I mean, med school and like pre-med is no joke. I mean, I'm sure he has made out with other girls in the meantime. Like, he may not have sex with anybody, but like some people just don't have sex with people if they're not in relationships. Like, that's not that crazy, especially if you went through what he went through. Like, that's a huge betrayal. But I mean, he tried to date Agnes, like they were saying, but like it just wasn't like that. I mean, I'm sure he's kissed other people. I'm sure he made his finger, whatever. You know what I mean? Done other things, but he just sounds like he hasn't had sex. That doesn't mean he's done nothing, okay? But then he finds out later on that Steven, who's basically his cousin / his other brother, almost dies and loses his job helping Steven. And then he finds out right after that, it's like a whiplash. Belly and Jer are getting married. And then he spent an entire summer. Oh, well, hold on. Let's back up. Then before this, he saw Belly at Christmas. And yeah, nothing happened. But obviously, like, they spent a couple days together. The vibe was there. You know, they both were looking good. They both were kind of like, oh, wow, like, we've never really talked about this. You know, this is kind of like, oh, wow, I haven't seen you in a long time. Like, the feelings were still there. Like, things come back. If people have chemistry like that, things like this can happen. But then, whatever, Steven gets in the accident, he loses his job, he finds out Belly and Jared are getting married, and he's like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Then he spends an extremely sexually charged summer with Belly, which reignited their entire relationship, especially after the spark kind of caught. I guess the spark happened at Christmas, and then it really caught flame over the summer. I mean, she literally was gonna risk it all. We all saw her on the side of that bathtub. He called her ass out. He's like, oh, and I cut my leg. I'm like, come on. But obviously he tells her he loves her at the end of the summer too, because his feelings and hers are boiling over. We all saw that. She was about to fucking cheat on Jeremiah anyways. And then he finds out Jared cheated on her. Like, how fucking disrespectful. And he's been being so helpful all summer and everything else. I mean, he has been kind of being like a little flirty, but who can help him? Who can help Conrad, you know? The wedding is canceled, you know, but he knows she still loves him. And it's like, after everything that happened over the summer, what is he not going to shoot his fucking shot like Jeremiah did when he had the chance? But it's like, yeah, she went abroad, so what he's going to do is write her letters. I mean, it's not that crazy. You know, the most passionate relationships that we tend to have is, like, the ones where we literally are so into each other and so passionate that we kind of make each other crazy, you know, like, but you just, like, can't stop. Like, it's literally, like, they have, even Jeremiah said it, it's like a force field. It's magnetic, you know? So stop trying to say my boy Conrad is pathetic, okay? Put yourself in his shoes for a minute. Going back to the rest of the episodes, Jay looks super hot in episode 10 with the glasses on. And I even had someone, I saw like a post on, it was Threads or Instagram or something, and someone was like, is it just me or is like Jeremiah really hot? And it was like, okay, girl, like now that he's out of Belly's way, you're just now 3 seasons in gonna say he's hot. Obviously, Gavin's hot. That's why everybody loves him and why people were even Team Jellyfish in the first place. Are you kidding me? But Conrad obviously looked great too. Belly looked great as usual. You know, Steven and Taylor obviously did. And Denise obviously looked, she was serving. She was serving too. Obviously, we all caught that vibe between Denise and Jared, so we'll have to see what happens with that. I do see the vision of Jared becoming a chef that I saw someone talking about on Reddit too, and I'd love to see that happen for him. I loved Belly and Taylor being like bestie, lover girls, party girls in Paris for New Year's Eve. You know, that's so fun. And you know, like, I teared up when Junior Mint got there, when she was there and they opened it. I'm like, oh, that's so cute. Especially because Belly was obviously homesick. I mean, kind of going back to the thing about, like, seeing the happy memories of, or the happy things of her in Paris in the trailer, like, were really Conrad imagining her. Like, she was having fun there and obviously met Benito and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, obviously she was homesick and just went through all that. I'm sure she was emotionally dealing with a lot the whole time she was there. I'm sure she was so happy to get something that reminded her of home. I'd be homesick. I think we all would. But I love the Sabrina starring Audrey Hepburn vision board they've had going with this season. I mean, especially because my girl Sabrina ended up with the older brother at the end. But the image of Belly in front of the Sacred Coeur, or the Sacred Heart, while finally responding to Conrad's letter is so perfect. It is just so perfect. Belly and Conrad better fucking end up together. Like, I know Jenny was like, I changed the ending from the book. I didn't read the books, but I know that they end up together or whatever. And I'm like, girl, if you change the fact that they end up together and you end her with someone else, or you end her single, or I don't get my Belly Conrad moment, I'm gonna crash out. I'm gonna literally crash out. I don't even know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna, like, scream. Like, I'm gonna be like, what? I'm gonna go crazy. But he's going to Paris this year. Like, come on, like, don't let me down, Jenny Han, please. He's so hot. Obviously, I would cave if I was her. You know, guys, again, with the calling Conrad, like, pathetic and stuff, you know, stop putting yourself in Belly's shoes and thinking of Conrad as your ugly-ass ex-situationship, ex-boyfriend, whatever the fuck. Picture Chris Briney's Conrad, or picture whoever you think is, like, the hottest guy ever that is, like, some guy that you've had just, like, this insanely passionate relationship with, and then think about it, and trust you're gonna see the vision. Because really being hot does give you an advantage in the dating world. Come on, you can get away with a lot more. Let's be real. But most importantly, we finally, and this was honestly really was the most important thing to me, we finally got the scene of Jared and Conrad making up and hugging and things being okay between them and making amends. I mean, as someone that's super close to my siblings, I can't imagine being in a situation like this with one of them. Just us all having such different tastes in guys in the first place, and my brother being married and being into women, but he wouldn't be an issue. But you know what I mean, with my sisters, you know, my girlfriends. But I can't imagine that. But, like, I also can't imagine, like, being estranged from my sister like that for the rest of my life. Like, I feel like I'm really close to my siblings, and I understand how important that is in your life, you know? Like, I love seeing the siblings make up. You know that should have me crying. So something else that is super fun, that I don't even know if I've talked about this in the podcast yet, but I've been telling a lot of people about it, so I may have. I'm having my Summer I Turn Pretty finale party this week, and I have a ton of fun stuff planned. Ordered, like, priority shipping, like, it should be here before Wednesday when the episode comes out. A poster of Conrad, or, like, Chris Brownie, because I couldn't get a high quality one from the show that was gonna be good on like a big poster, because I did a picture of Chris Browning for like a magazine or something. But we're gonna maybe do pin the kiss on Conrad, kind of like the Bachelorette game, like pin the kiss on the groom. But I got super fast shipping and it hasn't come in yet, so I may have to fight with the Shutterfly people in a couple days. We'll have to see to get my money back. I also got a bunch of blue Sour Patch Kids, Belly's favorite. I'm making cupcakes with blue frosting. I got popcorn kernels because we all love popcorn in my house. But I got my sister an air like popcorn fryer there, and I got it yesterday from my parents' house, and I'm gonna use that. She obviously said it was fine. Can make so much popcorn. It's so good. But I got these cute little bags that say popcorn on them that are blue, so that's perfect because it's the blue theme or whatever. Pomegranate margaritas, of fucking course we're making. We're gonna make a couple other drinks too and snacks, you know. I also got a bunch more Polaroid film for my camera, which I'm super excited about. And when Joe and I moved in here last year, one of my cousins gave me a bunch of like glasses, wine glasses and stuff. Some of them I have in the cabinet because I had room for them, but other ones I just didn't have room for them all. So they were just sitting in my trunk of my car. I wasn't doing anything with them. I have like 8 of them back there. Some like are the ones with, I don't know what they're called, the ones that are like stemless, and then the ones with the stems, like classic wine glass. But I decided to paint them for the party and give them out as party favors. I was gonna have it be an activity we were gonna do, but one, I was kind of thinking about the mess, and I was like, ugh. But even still, I was gonna just deal. But because I have a lot of artsy friends, you know, that are coming. But when I was Googling and researching what the best way to do it without like it chipping super quickly and stuff, this guy that does it for a living on Reddit he was saying on Reddit that he does a clear coat of like, or white coat of gesso underneath, which is like acrylic paint. And then you wait for like 24 hours for it to dry. And then you start with your acrylic paint on top of that. And then after that, when it dries, you bake them in the oven. And so I have to bake them. I'm in the crunch time hours, but like I have them all decorated except for one because my younger sister was like pretty upset that I didn't leave her one, but I did. I left one. I just told her like it's a multiple day step process. That's why I thought it would be easier if I just do this before, because instead of trying to find people to come and get theirs and like, well, it's like, what are they gonna do? Because they're gonna have to wait 24 hours for the clear to dry. It doesn't make sense. But I'm super excited for the party though, and I finally booked a haircut. And my hair actually looks good. It's really long right now, but it is very healthy. And like I haven't gotten a cut since like April, but I will be showing up serving the day of my party because I'm getting my haircut the same day, so that'll be good. But it's just so long. I need to trim. My bangs are not really bangs anymore. They're not, but you're a little too long to be styled, so like I gotta trim them. I gotta deal with that. But okay, so finally moving on from the summer I turned pretty. Can I just say what the fuck about the Emmys deducting donations to the Boys and Girls Club every time someone went over on their acceptance speech? I don't know if that was real or if that was a joke someone was saying. I think it was real though. But if that is real, and I hope it's not, that is so fucking dystopian. Like, what are you talking about? I know Hannah, I'm blanking on her last name. She's in Hacks, and she was saying that she's just gonna split the difference or make up the difference for whatever she goes over. She'll fucking pay it. She's like, fuck you guys. What are you talking about? It's horrific and disgusting if true. Let's just get to that point. You know, I obviously was too young to truly remember it, but I saw a post on Instagram the other day about Lindsay Lohan's famous leaked hookup list. Once I looked into it, I vaguely remember seeing stuff on the, like TMZ and stuff, but I was a little too young to understand. But it's actually crazy. You know, it's like 36 men, and some of their names are blurred out on some of the versions that I've been able to find of it. So I don't know if you can find them anywhere, if they're like just not famous people, so they're blurring it to maintain anonymity. I mean, no one really cares if they're not famous. Like, they're not going to know who it is. But in that case, why isn't Brian from G-Pit blurred out? Or Brad from G-Pit, whatever that one is. Obviously, I'm sure G-Pit is a bar. But anyways, Lindsay was so iconic for this. And, like, I don't know if she released it or if it was leaked, but it's hilarious. And I will shout out some of these absolute 10s that she bagged, which she obviously is a 10 herself, so it makes sense. I mean, Ashton Kutcher, this is all early 2000s too, so this is a good prime time. Ryan Philippe, Joaquin Phoenix, Evan Peters, Orlando Bloom, Jamie Dornan, Zac Efron, Heath Ledger, James Franco, and more. Insane riz on Miss Lindsay Lohan, if I do say so myself. So my slightly obsessed list for this episode, I gotta go with painting. Obviously, so you guys may have guessed from me talking about doing the wine glass for the party. I've been doing a lot of painting lately, but you guys know I love to craft and do stuff like that anyways. But even Joe likes it now. You know, we got some paint kits last night at Michael's, and so we've been doing those. They're pretty cute. It's fun. Party planning. I do love party planning, but it is so expensive. I wish it was less expensive. Everything costs so much money. Joe actually put me on this next thing last night when we went to Total Wine. We got this. It's called La Gritona Tequila. It's a woman-owned tequila company, and it actually is delicious. It's kind of expensive, but it's actually a really delicious tequila. So I am happy you put me on that. I'm not using that for the pomegranate margaritas. It's too expensive. Sorry, guys. We're going to get that Jose Cuervo instead. The cider donuts from Smolak Farms in North Andover are actually the best in this area. I've had them out in Amherst. I've had them all over the North Shore. I've had them someplace in New Hampshire, Maine. You know, I think those are the best ones. You guys got to go there and check it out. I got some yesterday. They are delicious. They're so fresh and warm and soft and sugary and perfect. And also, I'm going to go with cigarette joints because it's kind of a little surprise. It's kind of like a little fun when you get a little joint one that looks like a cigarette. When you get a joint that is a cigarette shape, because it's just like they burn so much more easily and it's a little bit more sexy, I guess. You could say a little cuntier. All right, well, thank you guys so much for joining me on this episode of High Functioning Slightly Faded. If you guys want to send me anything, if you guys have any feedback, you want to get any updates on the pod, or see me spam post my Instagram story, you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Reddit at HFSFpod for more. And don't forget to tune in September 17th for the finale of The Summer I Turned Pretty. Bye, guys!